I'm not your property anymore, witch.
I'm a 35-year-old guy who's been married for 8 years to my wife, Sarah. We live in a typical suburban neighborhood where everyone knows everyone, and weekend barbecues are pretty much a regular thing. Last Saturday, I was manning the grill at our place, flipping burgers while neighbors wandered around our backyard with beers in hand. Perfect weather, good food, relaxed vibes. Sarah was over by the patio table, already 3 glasses of wine deep, getting louder and more animated with each sip. Nothing unusual there. She always gets a bit dramatic when she drinks. Then I heard my name mentioned, and everything changed. Sarah's voice carried across the yard. Seriously, though, who wants to trade husbands? Mine comes with low maintenance requirements and absolutely zero ambition whatsoever. The entire yard went silent. I felt every single person turn to look at me, then back at her. The guys around the grill were suddenly very interested in their shoes. The silence was suffocating. Then Karen, our recently divorced neighbor from 3 houses down, stepped forward smiling. You know what? I'll take him. When should I pick him up? I watched Sarah's smug expression crumble. She clearly expected everyone to laugh along with her joke, not actually respond to it. I set down my spatula and walked over. Well, honey, I really appreciate you marketing me like this. Should I start packing now, or do you want to help me load the truck? Sarah's face went pale. It was just a joke, she stammered. I crossed my arms. Was it? Because Karen here seems pretty serious. And honestly, after that glowing review you just gave me, I'm thinking she might be getting a good deal. Karen moved closer, obviously enjoying the chaos. Low maintenance sounds perfect to me, and ambition is overrated. I prefer someone who knows how to actually enjoy life. The neighbors were trying not to stare, but completely failing. I could see wives whispering to each other, and some of the guys were actually smirking. Sarah tried to laugh it off. Everyone knows I was kidding around. I looked at her. Do they? Because it sounded like you were trying to get rid of me, and now that someone's actually interested, you seem pretty upset about it. She grabbed my arm hard enough to leave marks. Can we talk privately? I pulled free gently. Why, you didn't mind discussing my shortcomings publicly a minute ago. What changed? Karen was still standing there, arms crossed, watching everything unfold with obvious amusement. The offer still stands. I'm not going anywhere. Sarah shot her a death glare. This is between me and my husband. I shook my head. Actually, you made it everyone's business when you tried to auction me off at a neighborhood barbecue. Karen has as much right to be part of this conversation as anyone else here. The tension was unbearable. Sarah was calculating, trying to figure out how to regain control, but the damage was done. She'd humiliated me publicly, and now everyone was watching her scramble. Fine, she said through gritted teeth. We'll discuss this at home. I tilted my head. Will we? You've already made your position crystal clear. Low maintenance, no ambition. That was your professional assessment of your husband, delivered to a crowd. So what's left to discuss? She was desperate now. You're being ridiculous. You know I didn't mean it like that. How did you mean it then? I asked. Karen chimed in. I heard a woman who doesn't appreciate what she has, and frankly, that's her loss. Sarah whirled on her. Nobody asked you. I stepped in. You literally asked everyone here. Karen nodded. You asked who wanted to trade husbands. Now you're mad because someone took you up on the offer. The party had completely died. Everyone was watching this unfold like their personal reality show, and honestly, I was done caring. Sarah realized she was losing badly. We're going inside now. I raised an eyebrow. Are we? Because I'm actually having a good time out here. The company's better than expected. Karen smiled at that. Much better company. Sarah's face turned red. Choose them or me. I looked around at the neighbors, then at Karen, then finally at Sarah, the woman who just publicly humiliated me. That's an interesting ultimatum from someone who spent 5 minutes explaining why I'm not worth keeping. Her expression told me everything. She'd pushed too far, and we both knew it. After the last neighbor left, we cleaned in complete silence. I could feel her eyes burning into me, but I ignored her. The second we got inside, she exploded. What the hell was that? I hung up my keys. That was you learning what happens when you humiliate your husband publicly, she yelled. It was a joke. I turned to face her. Was it funny? Because nobody laughed, except Karen. Her face twisted with rage. Don't bring up that divorced vulture. She was trying to cause problems. I laughed. Problems? She was the only honest person there. You offered to trade me like a used car, and she said she'd take me. What's the problem? She was shaking. The problem is, you played along with it. You embarrassed me in front of everyone. I stared at her. I embarrassed you? Let me get this straight. You tell everyone your husband has no ambition and isn't worth keeping, but I embarrassed you. She opened her mouth, but I kept going. You want to know what's really embarrassing? Living with someone who thinks so little of me that she makes jokes about trading me away, watching my wife drink too much and turn me into neighborhood entertainment. I was just being social, she protested weakly. My voice got harder. You were being cruel. The only reason you're upset is because it backfired. You expected me to stand there and take it, right? Laugh along and play the bumbling husband. But someone actually wanted what you were so eager to discard. Now you're panicking. She was pacing. You can't be serious about this. Karen is just desperate for attention. I asked quietly. And what are you? She stopped. What's that supposed to mean? I continued. Maybe look in the mirror before throwing stones. You think Karen's desperate? You're married to someone you apparently have no respect for. What does that make you? Her face went pale. That's different. We're married. We have a life together. I shook my head. Do we? Because we have a house and shared bills. But a real partnership? I'm not seeing it. I grabbed a beer from the fridge. You know what I realized today? I've been making excuses for your behavior for years, telling myself you were stressed or had a bad day, but disrespect has become your normal. I don't know what you're talking about, she said, defensively. I took a long drink. Of course not. You've been disrespecting me so long you think it's marriage. The little comments, the eye rolls, the way you dismiss everything I say. But watching Karen's reaction made me realize something. A woman who actually appreciates a man doesn't try to trade him away at a barbecue. So you're running off with the neighbor? She asked bitterly. I set down my beer. I'm going to stop accepting disrespect from my wife. The days of you treating me like a burden are over. No more jokes about my ambition or worth, especially not publicly. She stepped back. And if I don't agree? I looked her in the eye. Then Karen's offer is still on the table. The color drained completely from her face. You wouldn't. I said simply, try me. We stared at each other for what felt like forever. She was trying to regain control, but I wasn't backing down. This is ridiculous. You're overreacting to one stupid joke. I asked her, when was the last time you said something genuinely nice about me? When did you last build me up instead of tearing me down? She opened her mouth, then closed it. That's what I thought, I said quietly. My phone buzzed with a text. I smiled when I saw Karen's name. Hope you're okay after that drama. If you need to talk, I'm right next door. Sarah noticed my expression. Who was that? I showed her. Karen. Her eyes went wild. Delete it. Block her number. I don't want her contacting you. I looked at her like she was crazy. Why would I do that? She was frantic. Because I'm your wife. I laughed without humor. The same wife who tried to give me away 2 hours ago? She was getting desperate. That was different. I was just talking. I shrugged. And now Karen's just talking. What's the difference? The difference is she's trying to steal my husband. I actually laughed. Steal? You can't steal something being given away for free. The truth hit her hard. She sat down heavily on the couch, fight draining out of her. This isn't how tonight was supposed to go. I asked, how is it supposed to go? You humiliate me, everyone laughs, we come home and pretend it never happened. She didn't answer, which was answer enough. I headed for the stairs. I'm going to bed. We can continue this tomorrow when you've thought about what you really want. She looked up, panicked. Where are you going? I turned back. Guest room. Good night. As I climbed the stairs, I heard her start crying. For the first time in years, I didn't feel the urge to comfort her. The next morning, I woke to the smell of bacon and eggs. Sarah was at the stove in her best apron, hair perfect, makeup done. The full domestic goddess act. Good morning, honey, she said sweetly. I made your favorite breakfast. I poured coffee and sat down. What's the occasion? She smiled. Can't a wife make breakfast for her husband? I sipped my coffee. This wife can. The question is whether she will without an ulterior motive. Her smile faltered. I thought we could talk about yesterday. Clear the air. I shrugged. The air seems clear to me. She set a plate in front of me. Bacon, eggs, toast, all perfect. Look, maybe I had too much wine. Maybe I said things I didn't mean. Maybe, I agreed. She sat down across from me. Okay, I definitely said things I didn't mean, but that's not who I really am. I took a bite of eggs. Actually, I think that's exactly who you are. Yesterday was just the first time you said it in front of witnesses. Her face flushed. That's not fair. I set down my fork. Isn't it? When was the last time you bragged about me? When did you last tell someone how lucky you were to be married to me? She was quiet. I don't really think about things like that. I nodded. No, you don't. But you definitely think about all the ways I disappoint you, those you have no problem sharing. The doorbell rang. Through the window, I saw Karen on our porch holding a coffee mug. Sarah's body went rigid. Don't answer it. I stood and walked to the door. Morning, Karen. She smiled. Morning. Sorry to bother you, but I ran out of sugar. The store doesn't open for another hour. I stepped back. Of course, come on in. Sarah appeared like a guard dog, still wearing that fake smile. Oh, Karen, how unexpected. Karen walked in. Hope I'm not interrupting anything. I poured her coffee. Not at all. Just having breakfast. Would you like some? Sarah's smile got more strained. Actually, we were having a private conversation. I looked at her. Were we? I thought we were done talking. Karen glanced between us with obvious amusement. Am I missing something? I handed her the coffee. Not really. Sarah was just explaining how yesterday was all a big misunderstanding. Karen waved her hand. Oh, the barbecue thing. There was no misunderstanding on my part. I meant every word. Sarah's mug hit the counter hard. I think there's been enough discussion about yesterday. Karen raised an eyebrow. Has there? Because I've been thinking about it all night, and honestly, the more I think about it, the more I like the idea. Sarah's voice was tight. What idea? Karen smiled. Trading husbands, or in this case, just taking yours off your hands. The silence was deafening. Sarah looked ready to explode, and Karen was clearly enjoying every second. That's not happening, Sarah said finally. Karen asked innocently, Why not? Yesterday you made it sound like he was more trouble than he was worth. Low maintenance and no ambition, I believe, Sarah hissed. That was a joke. Karen tilted her head. Was it funny? I couldn't help but smile. Those were my exact words from yesterday. Karen caught my expression. That's what you asked her, right? And what did she say? I shrugged. She's still working on an answer. Sarah slammed her hand on the counter. Stop talking about me like I'm not here. Sorry, Karen said calmly. We're being rude. Sarah was just explaining she didn't mean what she said. Apparently it was the wine talking. I nodded. In vino veritas. In wine, there is truth. Sarah's face went from red to purple. Are you two ganging up on me now? Karen shook her head. Nobody's ganging up. I'm just saying booze doesn't create thoughts. It removes the filter. Sarah was getting desperate. Fine. Maybe I think you could be more ambitious. Is that a crime? Most wives want their husbands to strive for more. Karen looked genuinely curious. More what? Sarah gestured wildly. More success, money, drive, Karen pressed. And what makes you think he doesn't have those things? Sarah's voice rose. Look around. We're living in a middle-class neighborhood, middle-class house, middle-class everything. Karen frowned. So? Sarah threw her hands up. So we could have more. He could push harder, work longer, make more money. Instead, he's content to just exist. I set down my coffee cup and looked at her. And there it is. The real truth. She looked confused. What truth? I said quietly. You're embarrassed by our life. You're embarrassed by me. She backpedaled. That's not what I said. I shook my head. It's exactly what you said. You just used different words. Karen was watching this like the most fascinating thing she'd ever seen. Can I ask you something? Sarah snapped. What? Karen asked simply. What exactly do you contribute to this household? Sarah's mouth fell open. Excuse me? Karen repeated. Simple question. You're criticizing your husband for not being ambitious enough, not making enough money, not pushing hard enough. So what do you bring to the table? I'm his wife, Sarah said defensively. Karen shrugged. That's not a contribution. That's a title. The silence was heavy. I could see Sarah's mind racing. I take care of the house, she said finally. Karen asked, Do you work? Sarah hesitated. I'm between jobs right now. Karen leaned forward. How long? Sarah looked at me desperately, but I just waited. A few months, she said weakly. I corrected her quietly. Try 18 months. Karen's eyebrows shot up. 18 months. And you're criticizing him for lack of ambition? Sarah was flustered. That's different, Karen asked. How? Sarah struggled. Because I'm looking for the right opportunity. For 18 months, Karen said flatly. Sarah's voice shook. This is none of your business, Karen smiled. You made it my business yesterday when you offered to trade him to me. I stood and walked to the window. Outside, neighbors were living their normal Sunday lives. Inside, my marriage was falling apart, and honestly, I was okay with that. You know what I realized last night? I said without turning around. I've been apologizing for who I am for years, making excuses for why I'm not rich enough, successful enough, ambitious enough for you. Sarah protested. That's not true. I turned back. Isn't it? How many times have you told me to ask for a promotion? Suggested I look for a better job? Made it clear what I do isn't good enough? She was silent. I continued. Here's the thing. I like my job. I'm good at it. It pays well enough for us to live comfortably, and most importantly, it gives me time to actually enjoy life instead of chasing some impossible standard of success. Karen smiled. Sounds perfect to me. Sarah shot her a look. Nobody asked you. I reminded her. Actually, you did yesterday, and my answer hasn't changed, Karen added. When do you want me to pick him up? The question hung in the air like smoke. Sarah's face cycled through about 6 emotions before settling on rage. Get out, she said to Karen, voice shaking. Get out of my house right now. Karen raised an eyebrow. Your house? Funny, I thought it belonged to both of you. Though given you've been unemployed for 18 months, I'm guessing his name is the only one on the mortgage. I couldn't help but smirk. She was right. The house was in my name only. I'd bought it before we got married and never added her to the deed. That's it, Sarah screamed. I want her out now. I asked calmly, why? She came over to borrow sugar, remember? We haven't given her any yet. Sarah's voice was shrill. Don't play games with me. I shrugged. I'm not. I'm just wondering why you're so upset about a simple conversation. Karen stood and smoothed her dress. Maybe I should go. I can see I'm making someone uncomfortable. I said firmly, You're not making me uncomfortable at all. Stay as long as you like. Sarah whirled on me. Are you out of your mind? I met her eyes. Actually, I think I'm finally thinking clearly for the first time in years. She's trying to steal you from me, Sarah cried. I asked quietly, how can she steal something you don't want? Sarah's voice cracked. I never said I didn't want you. I shook my head. You didn't have to say it. You demonstrated it in front of half the neighborhood. Karen settled back into her chair and took another sip of coffee. This is better than cable. Shut up, Sarah snapped. I frowned. That's no way to talk to a guest. Sarah was losing it. Guest? She's not a guest. She's a homewrecker. I actually laughed. Homewrecker? What home? The one where you spend your days complaining about your husband? The one where you've been unemployed over a year while criticizing my work ethic? That home? Sarah was sputtering, desperate. We can work through this. We can go to counseling. I asked, can we? Because yesterday you made it clear I'm not worth the effort. She grabbed at straws. I was drunk. I nodded. And now you're sober and still trying to tell me what to do and who I can talk to. Karen cleared her throat. If I may interrupt, I have a question. Sarah demanded. What? Karen asked simply. Do you even like your husband? The question was so direct it stopped everyone. Sarah opened her mouth, then closed it. Of course I do. He's my husband. Karen shook her head. That's not what I asked. Do you like him as a person? Enjoy his company? Look forward to seeing him? Laugh at his jokes? Find him interesting? The silence stretched on and on. Sarah looked like she was struggling with what should have been the easiest question in the world. Karen continued gently. See, that's the difference between us. I've had exactly 3 conversations with your husband, and I already know my answers. Yes, 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 and yes. You don't know him like I do, Sarah said weakly. Karen replied, maybe that's the problem. Maybe you know him too well. Maybe you've forgotten to see the good things because you're so focused on what you think is wrong. I stood and walked to the sink, rinsing my cup. You know what? This conversation has run its course. Good, Sarah said quickly. Karen can leave and we can get back to normal. I turned to face her. That's not what I meant. She froze. What did you mean? I said clearly. I meant, I'm done pretending this marriage is working. I'm done accepting criticism from someone who brings nothing to the table, and I'm definitely done being treated like a consolation prize. You can't be serious, she whispered. I met her eyes. Dead serious. Karen finished her coffee and stood. Well, this has been enlightening. Thank you for the coffee. I stopped her. Wait, you came for sugar, remember? She smiled. Oh, right. Though honestly, this conversation has been sweeter than anything I could have baked. I went to the pantry and poured sugar into a container for her. There you go. She took it gratefully. Thank you. You're very kind. Sarah was watching us like we were conducting secret negotiations. What's really going on here? I handed Karen the sugar. Nothing's going on. I'm helping a neighbor. Karen turned to Sarah with genuine curiosity. Can I ask you something else? Sarah's voice was tired. What now? Karen asked. Why do you want to keep a husband you clearly don't respect? Sarah's answer was automatic. Because he's mine. Karen shook her head. That's not a reason. That's possessiveness. Sarah tried again. I love him. Karen's voice was gentle but firm. Do you? Because love usually involves respect, admiration, support. I haven't seen any of those things from you. Sarah was getting frantic. You don't understand our relationship. Karen replied. I understand enough. I understand he works hard to support both of you while you sit home criticizing everything he does. I understand you're so unhappy with your life you take it out on your partner. That's not fair, Sarah protested. I asked, isn't it? When was the last time you said thank you for anything I do? When did you last acknowledge that I work 40 hours a week to pay for this house, the car you drive, the food you eat? Sarah's voice was sharp. I shouldn't have to thank you for doing what you're supposed to do. Karen said quietly, and there it is. You think he owes you everything, and you owe him nothing? The truth of that statement was a physical blow. Sarah actually stepped backward. That's not, I cut her off. Yes, you do. You think being married to you is reward enough for everything I provide? You think I should be grateful you tolerate my presence? Stop twisting my words, she cried. I shook my head. I'm not twisting anything. I'm finally hearing them clearly. Karen headed for the door. I should really go. But thank you again for the coffee and sugar. I followed her. Anytime, she said quietly so only I could hear. I mean that. Anytime. I nodded. I know. After she left, I turned to find Sarah standing in the hallway, tears streaming down her face. How could you do this to me? I asked. Do what? Her voice broke. Humiliate me, flirt with another woman in front of me, act like our marriage means nothing. I laughed without humor. Our marriage? What marriage? The arrangement where I work and pay bills while you complain? That marriage? We took vows, she sobbed. I nodded. Yes, for better or worse, in sickness and in health, to love and to cherish. Tell me, which of those vows have you been keeping lately? She had no answer. I grabbed my car keys. I'm going out. Her voice was panicked. Where? I looked at her. Does it matter? According to you, I have no ambition anyway. Maybe I'll drive around aimlessly like the loser you married. Don't leave, she begged. We need to talk about this. I opened the door. No, we don't. We've talked enough. Now I need to think. As I walked out, I could hear her crying. For the second time in 2 days, I didn't feel the urge to turn around and comfort her. Some bridges, once burned, can't be rebuilt. I drove around for 2 hours thinking. When I got back, Sarah was waiting in the living room with red eyes and a notebook. I wrote down all the things I appreciate about you, she said, holding it up like a peace offering. I sat across from her. Let me guess. Good provider, faithful husband, reliable. Her face fell. How did you know? I said gently. Because those aren't things you appreciate about me as a person. Those are functions I perform. She looked confused. That's not true. I gestured to the notebook. Read me the list. She looked down. You work hard, pay the bills. You're dependable, never cheat, help around the house. I held up my hand. Stop. Do you hear yourself? Everything on that list is about what I do for you, not who I am. I don't understand the difference, she admitted. I said sadly, I know you don't, and that's the problem. She leaned forward desperately. Tell me what you want me to say. I shook my head. I don't want you to say anything. Words are cheap. You've proven that. Her voice cracked. Then what do you want? I looked at her for a long moment. I want you to pack your things. The color drained from her face. What? I repeated clearly. Pack your things and leave. She was shaking. You can't be serious. This is my home. I corrected her. No, it's my home. Your name isn't on the deed. And since you don't work, you don't contribute to the mortgage. You can't just throw me out, she cried. I said firmly, actually, I can. And I am. Her voice was small. Where will I go? I stood up. That's not my problem anymore. She started crying harder. Please don't do this. I'm sorry. I'll change. I shook my head. No, you won't. You'll be good for a week, maybe 2. Then you'll go right back to treating me like garbage. I'm done with that cycle. I love you, she sobbed. I looked at her sadly. No, you don't. You love what I provide. You love having someone to blame for your unhappiness. But you don't love me. My phone buzzed with a text from Karen. Everything okay? Saw you drive off earlier? Sarah noticed me checking it. Is that her? I nodded. Yeah. Her voice was dangerous. Delete it. I looked at her calmly. No. She was desperate. I'm your wife. I should come first. I held her gaze. You should. But you made it clear yesterday you don't want to be first. You want to be right. You want control. You want to be the sufferer. I headed for the stairs. You have until tomorrow morning to pack your things. And then what? She called after me. I stopped. Then you figure out how to be an adult for the first time in 18 months. Her voice was shrill. This is all her fault. She put these ideas in your head. I turned around. Karen didn't put anything in my head. She just pointed out what was already there. The difference is she sees value in what you've been throwing away. So you're choosing her over me? Sarah demanded. I shook my head. I'm choosing respect over disrespect. Appreciation over criticism. Someone who actually wants me around. She was sobbing. I want you around. I said quietly, only because you're afraid of being alone. That's not the same thing. I went upstairs and pulled suitcases from the closet. When I came back down with them, she completely broke down. Please, we can work this out. We can go to counseling. I set the suitcases in front of her. 8 years too late for that conversation. She grasped at anything. I'll get a job. I'll contribute more. I said calmly, you should get a job, but not for me, for you. She stared at the suitcases. I won't do it. I headed back upstairs. Then I'll do it for you. I started throwing her clothes into the suitcases. She followed, grabbing things from my hands. Stop. You can't do this. I kept packing. Watch me. What about our vows? She cried. What about for better or worse? I zipped up a suitcase. This is the worst, and I've had enough of it. It took 20 minutes to pack everything of hers. When I brought the last suitcase downstairs, she was sitting on the couch sobbing. Where am I supposed to go? I set down the suitcase. Your sister's? Your mother's? A hotel? I don't care. I don't have any money, she said desperately. I looked at her. Then maybe you should have thought about that before spending 18 months criticizing the person who pays for everything. She looked up with desperate eyes. What if I promise to change? What if I prove I can be better? I shook my head. I'm not interested in your promises. I'm interested in my peace of mind. I carried her suitcases to the front door. You have until noon tomorrow to get the rest of your things. After that, I'm changing the locks. She stood shakily. You're really throwing away 8 years of marriage. I turned to face her one last time. I'm not throwing anything away. You already did that when you decided I wasn't worth keeping. As I opened the door, Karen was walking up her driveway. She saw the suitcases and understood immediately. Need any help? She called out. Sarah shot her a look of pure hatred. This is all your fault. I said firmly, no, this is your fault. Karen just had the courage to say what everyone else was thinking. Sarah grabbed a suitcase and stormed to her car. You'll regret this. I called after her. The only thing I regret is waiting this long. After she drove away, Karen walked over. You okay? I nodded. Better than I've been in years. She smiled. Good for you. That took guts. I shrugged. No, it took self-respect. I just forgot I had any for a while. She touched my arm gently. Well, if you need anything, you know where to find me. I looked at her and smiled. I might take you up on that. Her eyes sparkled. I hope you do. As I watched her walk back to her house, I felt something I hadn't felt in years. Hope. 3 weeks later, I was back at the grill, flipping burgers in my backyard. This time, Karen stood beside me, mixing the salad. The mood couldn't have been more different. No awkward silence, no tension. Just two people enjoying the moment. So, how's the neighborhood rumor mill treating you? She teased, tossing lettuce into a bowl. I chuckled. Mixed results? Half the wives think I'm some kind of hero. The rest think I'm an idiot, she smirked. And the husbands? I grinned. They've been giving me those knowing looks and asking for advice. Sarah had stopped by twice since then. Once to grab a few things, once to beg for another chance. I stayed firm both times. The divorce papers were already in motion. Any second thoughts? Karen asked. Only that I waited too long, I said. She smiled and kissed my cheek. Well, I'm not complaining about your timing. The doorbell rang. Through the peephole, I saw Sarah. She looked rough, messy hair, puffy eyes, wearing the same clothes as before. I opened the door but didn't invite her in. What do you want? I got a job, she said quickly. At Target. I start Monday. I'm trying to fix things. I nodded. Good. You should have done that a year and a half ago. Please, she pleaded. Can we talk? Without her here? Karen moved quietly in the kitchen, giving us space. There's nothing left to talk about, I said. It was just a stupid joke at a barbecue, and you're ending our marriage over that? It wasn't one joke, I told her. It was 8 years of disrespect. That barbecue was just the last straw. She grabbed my arm. I'll do anything. I'll even sign a prenup if we remarry. I almost laughed. There won't be a next marriage? Because of her? She asked bitterly. No, I said. Because of you. Tears welled up. I heard you're dating her. We're getting to know each other. She's not better than me. Actually, she is, I said calmly. She values what she has instead of whining about what she doesn't. I can value you too. No, you can't, I said. Deep down, you still think I'm beneath you. You're not here because you miss me. You're here because you're scared to be alone. She started crying. That's not true. Prove it, I said. Tell me one thing you truly love about me that has nothing to do with what I can give you. She opened her mouth, then shut it again. Silence stretched between us. Exactly, I said softly. Take care of yourself. As I went to close the door, she stopped it with her hand. The neighbors hate me now, she whispered. That's not my problem. They think I'm a terrible person. I met her eyes. Maybe ask yourself why. I never meant for it to end like this. Yes, you did, I said. You just didn't think it would cost you anything. Goodbye, Sarah. I shut the door and listened as she cried, then heard her car start and leave. Karen appeared in the doorway. You okay? Yeah, I said. Perfect. She gave me a knowing look. Liar, that couldn't have been easy. It was easier than I thought, I admitted. I'm done feeling guilty for wanting to be happy. She wrapped her arms around me. Good, you deserve that. I kissed her forehead. So do you. I am, she said softly. For the first time in years, I'm with someone who actually wants me here. We went back to the kitchen. As we worked together, I realized this was what a real partnership looked like. Respect, teamwork, and genuine care. You know what's funny? Karen said. What? She did me a huge favor at that barbecue. I raised an eyebrow. How's that? She basically handed me the right man, she laughed. All I had to do was say yes. I pulled her close and kissed her. Then maybe we should thank her. She smiled against my lips. Maybe we both should. Later, we sat on the porch watching the sunset. Karen's phone buzzed. She smiled. My ex, she said. He heard about us. What'd he say? She showed me the text. Heard you upgraded. Good for you. Karen laughed. He's right, I did upgrade. From someone who didn't value me to someone who does. I wrapped an arm around her. The feeling's mutual. She rested her head on my shoulder. You know what the best part is? What's that? I don't have to fake being thankful for basic respect anymore. And you don't have to apologize for just being yourself. As the sky faded into shades of pink and gold, I realized something. The worst moments can sometimes open the door to the best ones. Sarah's cruelty at that barbecue had set me free. Karen was right. She'd upgraded. So had I. For the first time in 8 years, I was with someone who saw my worth, someone who didn't chase perfection but enjoyed peace. The gossip would die down soon enough. Sarah would move on. But sitting there with Karen, watching the sun disappear behind the trees, I knew one thing for sure. I hadn't taken the easy road, but I had taken the right one. And that made all the difference.